We're talking to a man now who in 2019 was diagnosed with stage 3 terminal cancer. But instead of that holding him back, he saw this as an opportunity in the face of adversity.
Please welcome the man dubbed the King of Chemo, Ian Ward, to the 6 o'clock show.
Hey, Ian.
And wearing his crown.
Absolutely, rightfully
I feel like
so.
I have to sell it a lot more now.
Do.
Each time you're going to see me, I'm going to be like wearing like a robe and
Full
slowly escalating the ridiculousness of what I'm doing.
So you've dubbed yourself the King of Chemo. You've got
I think one of my friends did. I've got to give him credit.
Oh, that's generous of you because it is good. 2 million or so followers on your social media. 2.5. Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us how it began, because the story of your diagnosis is fascinating.
Yeah. So I keep calling myself the... actually, no, again, I didn't call this. My surgeon said, I know this is unlucky, the situation that you're in, but you are actually really lucky because you went in with no symptoms. So the way I found out was because I had been doing medical trials, not for any like sort of high moral reason. I just wanted beer money so I could go off to Peru for a second time. And while I was...
were they testing like COVID vaccines on you? Was this the kind of the day job?
Not in 19. Not in
2019. Okay, you didn't know what was coming.
No, it wasn't. And so I went in and I had a brain scan, I had an MRI scan, and they called me up and they said, hi, we've detected a tumour. It looks like it's benign, so you don't need to worry about it too much, but like you do need to go in for a second scan where they focus on it. And this is definitely something that you need to focus on the rest of your life with. And me being me, my first reaction was, hang on, so can I do the research trial anymore? And they're like, no, this is a very serious medical condition. I was like, money. And then so the second time, however, I went in and there was a bit of a delay because of COVID, because that's when it just about started up. And then the second time, they were able to say, OK, no, this is not a benign tumour. This has grown aggressively. We need to operate on this fairly soon. And so that's where I've ended up where I am.
Wow.
Was there much time between that conversation and the actual surgery? And if there was, in between, what were your thoughts?
When they first spoke to me about, like, this has
actually become aggressive and this is different.
Yes, so it wasn't too long. It was between my brother's birthday and just after my own, which is 3 weeks and 5 days, which my mom is probably delighted that I say, because she has all these patterns that she has with birthdays. And then it's 3 weeks after my birthday to hers and 5 days to my dad's. And then so my surgery, so I was able to ruin my brother's birthday by giving them the information of, apparently this is very serious. I'm going to have to go in for brain surgery. And then I got to ruin my mother's birthday and my father's birthday because the surgery was on the 13th, so right in the middle of the two of them.
Oof.
So none of them could have any release.
Oh, my gosh.
They all were terrified about what was going on.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And like you said, you had no inkling. There were no symptoms, no headaches, no pains, no...
Zero.
Wow. Fascinating.
In terms of how you dealt with the diagnosis, again, that was kind of unconventional because you didn't run into your mother's arms sobbing, did you?
No, well, I couldn't because it was COVID. Okay. I couldn't do it anyway.
God. But you were like, I'm actually not going to share this. And it was actually because you knew how you would be post-surgery, that you're like, actually, they've told me I might be slurring my speech, so I'm going to have to let friends know what's up.
Yeah, because it was sort of like, I have to let them know now or I might not be able to afterwards. But because it was just, like, I don't want to make it sound like it was sort of like, I'm jumping on the sword for my family, but it was the sort of like, I don't think this is going to help. I really don't think it's going to help anyone having this extra knowledge because there's already enough going on. And the fact that they weren't able to, like, come over and see me, I was like, this is not going to be a good thing. This is not the right time.
Were you concerned that their way of treating you, their perspective on you would change as well? Their attitude towards you might change?
Completely.
And that would just be the complete
like
conversation.
10 times more texts every day. Are you all right? All right? Yeah. Like, I don't need that. That's not going to help.
Okay.
We were saying before we came on air in our production meeting, this is, very close to home for Martin. His wife, Jenny, went through 2 surgeries. So obviously a lot of your story is resonating with Martin on a different level.
Jenny's was around the speech area too. So, yeah. And again, she was woken up just as you were when the surgery took place. So it's...
Yeah, well, they say that it's the best way, that like if you don't do it, they can kind of poke around in the brain and it's like they're kind of basically, for want of a better phrase, they're kind of like, in the dark going like that. Whereas if you're awake during it, they're able to like put a prod, or I can't remember what it's called, in, and then they'll ask you questions. If it's to do with speech, they'll be doing a very basic form of articulate where it's like, which is the cat, which is the dog, and you just say like the one on the left. And then what they look out for is if you say the one on the left, and that stutter means, okay, we're in tissue that's being used. Let's not remove that. Let's try somewhere else. And if you're not conscious, you're not able to do that. So
okay, it's fascinating because I know of someone else who was worried about their guitar playing post-surgery, and they got to play the guitar while the surgery was going on.
Yeah, it's really common. I thought that it was just some like goofy thing that they were doing for like a documentary of like how the brain works, but it's actually they get them in there doing whatever is active in their head, and it affects what part of the brain is relevant to what it will affect. And strangely enough, the left temporal lobe for someone who's right-handed is speech, whereas if I was left-handed, it'd affect something else.
Okay.
Wow.
I know, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
You've approached this, your diagnosis, with great positivity. You're big into your fitness. And now you're hoping to break not one, but 2 world records. What are they?
Yeah, so I knew that having cancer meant that raising money for cancer, I got a huge advantage on that because everybody's going to give me the pity party. And it means that I'm going to get a lot of attention as well. So like, all right, well, I can get on that. And then I was like, all right, but if I'm breaking 1 world record, I kind of want to try and break another one. And this isn't to say that, like, you know, I'm a fantastic athlete or anything like that. Like, it's not like the world record for world's fastest marathon, which was recently broken. But it is, you are able to go and dress up as whatever you want, really. And you can get a world record for being dressed as that. You can be as silly as you want, and you can often get one that's not too difficult to achieve, or you can be like, you know, fastest person dressed as a soldier, and that's obviously going to be very fast because you're going to have like, you know, the Delta Force, the Navy SEALs, the SAS. They're going to be running that, and they're not going to be messing around. Whereas I just kind of looked around. It was like, okay, what do we have here? I had already started a social media channel playing video games. So I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll do it with video games. And I looked up, it was like a sub-3 marathon. It's like, that's really hard.
Under 3 hours is very tough.
It's very rough, but it is achievable. It is lower than like a sub-20-minute 5 kilometer, but it's the kind of thing that if someone said it, it'd be like, wow, that's impressive, as opposed to you have a gold medal as an Olympian.
Yeah.
So like, it's totally different.
So currently you're training for the London Marathon?
At this point, I'm just training for like generally everything because I don't think I'm going to be able to achieve it this year. But like, we'll just restart the charitable donations and just back
look at you there, though, Ian. Like, you know, you look in the prime of your life, in the, you know, not a bother on you. Are people surprised when you say the backstory, like, no, actually, I'm living with this, like, I'm living with cancer?
Well, the only people that would say that sort of thing is, like, on social media, because, like, when it's actually in person, because I deal with it so much, not that I'm uncomfortable about speaking about my situation, but if someone is talking to me in person, I'm always like, I do this all day. I don't want to talk about it now. It's no different than like a plumber. You know, if someone comes over like, oh, you're a plumber. Well, I have this problem with my shower. It's like, I don't care. Give me money if you want to, like, you know.
And speaking of which, like, how can people support you? How can people follow you?
The King of Chemo, and whatever your social media platform, be it like, you know, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok is the big one, and Instagram, and that would be the best way to do it. And then if you want to donate, you can go on Cure Cancer or dietrying.com, which hopefully we are going to change into the King of Chemo, so I don't have to give people 2 messages.
Exactly. Keep it simple. It's great to meet you. Brilliant.